Did a top secret US Navy sonar detect the Titan sub implosion days before we knew about it? Well, that's being reported by Daily Mail and others. We'll look into it. We'll explore all the angles we can around this very mysterious and intriguing tragedy that has captured the nation. Is there more to it? Let's talk about it. It seems like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk might actually fight, and Dana White of the UFC confirmed that they're both into it. Some would say this is a distraction, but I think it's pretty funny. And then we're gonna weigh in on this clip where Trump says that DeSantis sort of mandated vaccines.
There's some people like DeSantis he was big in the vaccines. You remember the lines that were lined up to get the vaccine, and I guess he sort of mandated it.
Is that true? Does it matter? We'll talk about that at the end if you want to stay tuned. God bless you. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from our... What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode. I appreciate you for being here, and the chat's open on Facebook or YouTube, so whatever you want, go ahead, say it. Top secret U.S. Navy sonar detected Titan sub implosion hours after submersible lost contact with mothership, is reported by the Wall Street Journal now, Daily Mail, and others, but I think Wall Street Journal got the scoop. I want to talk about it in a few angles that I haven't been hearing and some that I have been hearing. Let me know, I guess, before I get into this in the comment section, do you have some sort of theory about this? I mean, I'm going to tell you what I see, what I read. It's possible that a tragedy just normally happened. I get why nobody trusts anything anymore, but I haven't really overthought it. But the victims were, just to let you guys know, OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, 61 years old, French Navy veteran Paul-Henri Nargeolet, 77, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, 41, and his son Suleiman, who was just 19. Some are saying that it cost up to $250,000 to see the shipwreck. They were obviously, people know the story by now, I think. They were looking at the Titanic very, very deep. And it seems as if the theory that they're saying in the media now was an implosion, or some would say explosion, because it sounds like a word that most people use more than implosion. But I think technically at that depth, they're saying scientifically that it probably imploded. And the media, and I guess I'll just go with this because there's a few angles I want to cover. The headline on Daily Mail says it's sparking questions to why a multi-million-dollar international rescue effort was launched. If the U.S. Navy with their top secret sonar, how secret can it be if we know about it? It's like top secret. It's like the secret's out. You shouldn't have posted a headline about it. But anyway, if they knew that something had exploded and they had an inkling that that was true, why were companies or whoever was spending the money, why didn't they tell someone to stop the searches? I don't know. That's the angle that they're kind of going with here. Let me read the article before I really weigh in. The U.S. Navy began listening for noise of the missing submersible as soon as it was reported missing on Sunday morning. A senior official, and I would say take it with a grain of salt, because just like when they used to hate on Trump all the time and be like, oh, an anonymous senior official at the CIA, has Russia collusion. There were lots of anonymous officials and some that weren't anonymous that had no problem lying about other things. So I'm not saying this isn't true, but I like to be accurate, even if it goes with my bias or without. With this story, I have no bias, but you get what I'm saying? It would be dishonest of me to just be like, oh, this has to be official. Probably is, but anytime I hear anonymous source, it's easy to lie with an anonymous source, in my opinion. But anyway, a senior official told Wall Street Journal that they heard the sound of a suspected implosion at the time it was lost. The sound was detected near where the debris from the sub was discovered on Thursday. All people on board were killed instantly. What do you guys think of it? I guess, this whole story is about that. It's just basically saying that the U.S. Navy had prior intel than most people knew. So I could read the whole article, but I don't think there's much interesting there that would be of interest of you. Should they have told somebody? Now I think it's like Jack Posobiec and others pushing this narrative that they did it to cover up for the Hunter Biden story. Is that true? I don't know. I see that theory. I'm not really buying it, but maybe not. Someone said, we know what you think of it. No, I really don't, though. I've heard all sorts of theories. People are like, well, if there's billionaires on board, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Could be, but I guess before I play this clip, I'm going to play, because this shows a little bit of insight to where the CEO's head was at. I want to say God bless the people who perished. I don't know what happened. It's unfortunate. Clearly something went wrong. Should they have told people so they didn't spend millions of dollars looking for these people? Probably. But if, I don't know, America's technically at war, we'll pretend like we're not, but we're in so many proxy wars. Maybe they didn't want to give it up. Maybe it was a cover up. I mean, tell me what you think in the comments. I literally don't know what you think, because I've heard a bunch of different stuff. But here is a video. I do think it's relevant, and I don't like to dunk on people after they've perished. I mean, God bless this guy. God bless his family. I'm in no way, shape, or form justifying this or over, speculating, but this does seem to be a credible clip that's been covered by Outkick, Fox News, and a lot of other media, where the CEO basically mentioned that he wasn't interested in hiring like 50-year-old white guys to do what a lot of them do in other companies. And he wanted a younger thing. And he even talked about the safety of the submarines in this video. So I think it's worth a watch. I'm not trying to dunk on the guy. I kind of feel bad about it, but it's relevant and it's interesting. And it's really the only clip I found of him talking. So here it is, folks. Let me know what you think.
Listen to what he talks about. The CEO talks about hiring people.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. But a 25-year-old, who's a sub pilot or a platform operator, one of our techs, can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry, is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than ocean related. And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller, so anybody can drive the sub.
And I checked, because I'm always trying to be as accurate as I can. Fox News reported this, Outkick reported this, several media sources covered it. So it seems to be properly attributed to this guy that was the CEO of OceanGate. To me, that doesn't sound good. Outside of him saying 50-year-old white guys, I'm not like racially offended, like, oh my gosh, I feel hurt. I'm just saying, you heard what he was saying about safety in aviation, almost saying that a lot of checklists that they do for submarines was unnecessary, and they wanted like a younger team that did cooler stuff. I think that's relevant to what happened, because, his whatever happened wasn't what was supposed to happen. Something was wrong with the safety checks, and there is a video of him acting like certain safety checks the submarines have are unnecessary. And it's a good idea to hire younger people and avoid a certain race and age. It's like, most of my audience agrees with what I'm about to say. I think maybe not, but just hire the best people for the job, especially when it comes to planes, trains, automobiles, everything that matters on that level of safety, security. If the best guy is a 50-year-old white guy, hire the 50-year-old white guy. If it's someone younger, hire the younger guy. But safety's no joke. Submarines, airplanes, this is no joke. It's not like let's avoid these people and be fresh. Like, maybe there's a reason that there's so many pilots that look like that. I don't know. It's a relevant clip. I'll just say that. I could talk about this a lot, and I want to get to a few other stories. So let me know in the comment section. I'm seeing a lot of people that think it's fake or something along those lines. I'm seeing a lot of people that don't believe it. I understand why people are skeptical. We're lied to all the time. And, the media could get mad at people who say, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But how am I going to get mad at you for not believing something? They've lied 1,000 times. They're still lying about things that we lived through 2 years ago. So, I don't have a huge stance on this. Like, could it have been completely as they said? Sure, it happens. If you run companies where you're submerging submarines tens of thousands of feet under the water, things can happen. That's, it's a lot of pressure under the sea. The sea is a frightening place. it's possible that this is exactly what they say it is. It's just a tragedy, and it sucks. And for whatever reason, that submarine failed its mission, and it's just really, really unfortunate. Some people are talking about the hires, the diversity hires, as they say, or, going out of his way to not get generic people, to try to get younger and fresher and avoid safety. It's like, there's a video of him basically saying that. So if your company works and you do that, then it's like, oh, that's fine. But when a tragedy happens, people are going to look at that and be like, was that the reason? It might not have been, but why don't we just hire great people when it comes to safety? Because every race wants to be safe. I think it's interesting that it's near the Titanic, because I've heard theories. Obviously, I saw the Titanic movie and I've heard stories, but a lot of people have a theory that there were a lot of competitors to the Federal Reserve on the Titanic. And this is a whole theory I've just heard recently. I have no idea if it's true. I wasn't alive then, obviously. So it's just interesting that I just started hearing theories about the Titanic was this, and they were purposely, not saying it's true. I just recently heard that. Now you have this new Titan submarine going down under there. So now people are thinking about this, that, the other. Let me know what you think, but you're not going to really upset me on this one. I have to say, God bless the victims, the kid who passed, the family. I don't care how rich or poor you are. That's a devastating way to go. And I was talking to my neighbor about it, and he was like, if I was under that and I knew it was going bad, I'd be pissed at the CEO. And I was laughing. I mean, it's not funny, but I was like, I didn't even think of that. Like, if, the CEO of the submarine's right there next to you. So if you were there and you knew it was going bad, you're like, dude, why? What did you, like, why'd you do this to me? Really sad stuff. One of the craziest ways to go. I think it's intriguing to people for multiple reasons. One, it's this countdown of like, they're going to die in 4 days. This is where the Navy story comes in, though. They made it this big news thing, right? And I'm not trying to get overly conspiratorial, but they made it this big news thing. Everybody's cashing out on it. They have like a timer on their website. They're getting millions of clicks, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's 3 days. And we had prior knowledge, apparently, that it was already they were dead already. So couldn't they have alerted the media in some way, shape, or form to be like, you don't need to do this 4-day countdown? I think this part of the story is going to make more people think it's something more than it was, because they decided to go with this extravagant like rollout of will they survive, when it sounds like they were pretty sure that they weren't alive based on that intel. But that could be natural. Maybe that it just, I don't know. Let me know what you think, but I get why it's an intriguing story for that reason, for the reason of thinking like what it would be like to be trapped. Everybody has a nightmare of being trapped in this or that, or falling from heights. And this is one of those nightmares that you don't even think about. And you're like, yeah, I would not want to be stuck in a submarine. So I get why it's a viral story. I understand. I was interested in it as well. And that's my take on it for the most part. I know as much as everyone else knows at this point. I'm not going to over speculate, but that's my angle. God bless you guys. And the second story is about Dana White saying that Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are going to fight in possibly a combat sport, jiu-jitsu, MMA. I'm not sure, but it seemed almost like a fake story because it's too funny to be true, but it doesn't seem like it is fake. Dana White says they're both down. He might be able to make it happen.
I was talking to both Elon and Mark last night. Both guys are absolutely dead serious about this. They both want to do it. Mark Zuckerberg hit me up first and said, is he serious? And I said, I don't know. Let me ask him. I asked him and he said, yeah, I'm dead serious. This would be the biggest fight.
So I know a lot of people are going to say this is, theater, it's distraction, which for sure it doesn't really matter. Does it matter who wins a fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk? Does it? No, but to me, this is getting back to those old days when sometimes people are like, I used to like when people lived off the farm and, get back to our roots and nature. And it's like, what's more classic Americana than a duel? They used to duel people. They're like, I don't like your shoes. Someone's like, I don't like your wife. You're like, I don't like your banking schemes. They're like, I don't like, what you're doing in the North. They're like, I don't like what you're doing in the South. And then they're like, let's duel. And they're like, all right, let's, that's what they used to do. It's kind of tight, kind of frightening, but it's classic Americana. Like, you think you're a tough guy? You think you're a tough guy? Let's find out. Let's see who's the last one standing. I love it. I don't talk about it that much on my show because I'm in my pocket, but I love UFC, MMA, boxing. I'm a a mixed martial arts fan. So it's crossing two worlds that I pay attention to. Pretty funny. And Zuckerberg is no joke at jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's been really training hard doing tournaments. And here's Dana saying that as well. Here it is.
Mark takes the sport very seriously. He trains very hard. He actually is good at jiu-jitsu. He's good at stand-up. And Elon tells me that he's done martial arts. He's done jiu-jitsu. And he says, people might not think this of me, but I've been plenty of fights growing up in South.
So they both want to fight each other. I hope it happens. I really do. I think it would be exciting, entertaining, and everybody in the comments that's saying it's a distraction, it's a distraction. So are a lot of things, though. A lot of things are distractions. You know, it's like, well, look at Hunter Biden. It's like, yeah, Hunter Biden and Biden are corrupt. You know, Trump's in court. Like, I understand some things matter, but sometimes you dive so much into politics and you think you're like doing something, but you're not really even doing anything. And, you know, there's millions of activists that spend their whole lives doing activism and screaming and, you know, freaking out every 10 years. And they think they're fixing the world so much, like, oh, I matter so much because I'm not sports. I'm dedicated. But what if you're dedicated to the wrong cause? What if you got tricked? What if all that energy you spent, you realize when you turn 35 that you don't even like abortions that much, or you realize that Black Lives Matter is not what you thought it was. So all I'm going to say is, just because whether you're left wing or right wing, just because you're so into politics, it's important to not be ignorant. I think everyone should be educated on what's going on, for sure. Obviously, I do it all the time. I'm clearly passionate about it, and so are you. But it's like, there's nothing wrong with a little Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk fight. Let's have a little bit of fun. It's not like you have to revolve your whole world and erase your brain of what you know about politics, because sometimes 98% of politics are psyops and distractions also. So if I'm going to be distracted, do I want to be distracted crying about Trump and DeSantis for a year, or do I want to be distracted with Elon Musk on the ground trying to put a submission choke on Zuck? I want the latter. I'm pumped about it. I hope it happens. And in a weird way, I think it's getting back to our primal roots. I don't necessarily think it's like the worst distraction ever. We should have more of these events. Skip, like, they used to duel. Like, people talk about, oh, it's not real anymore. That's real. Like Aaron Burr, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. You want to fight about it? All right, let's, even smart people. You read some of the people in the Constitution, they were some of the smartest people ever, but they still were men. They still were like, all right, let's do it. I don't think a mutual duel is a good idea anymore, but a mutual boxing match is a good idea. MMA fight, why not? What's wrong with that? Put your skills to the test. And I also think taking care of yourself makes you a better person. Like, I truly believe, what's his name? Bill Gates. Sorry, I know he's an obvious person, but I get confused. I had like all the elites going in my head, like Jeff Bezos. He's at Coachella with his, his big Wazunga lady that he's with. No disrespect, Bezos. We all know she's wearing see-through shirts and stuff. I'm just saying, you got the Zuck, and then you got Bill Gates, who looks like a sloppy potato salad, and it just seems like he's having less fun than everybody. He looks like a sloppy potato salad. He sits there and watches tennis, and who won the tennis event he went to at the US Open? It was Djokovic, so he had to watch the unvaccinated legend win right in front of him. Bezos is out here getting jacked, hanging out at Coachella. Elon's having fun. Jiu-jitsu Mark is getting stronger and more aware. I like the fight. I'm sorry. I like it. I want to see him fight. I want to root for Elon, but I think that Mark has more experience with jiu-jitsu. He's practicing a lot. He does tournaments. Like, he's really into it, whether people care or not. I want to see him fight. Come on. You don't want to see Zuckerberg fight. You don't want to see Trump and Biden box. You're lying to yourself. You can act like you're better than me. That's fine. You might be, but oh my gosh, I don't want to see that. You don't? I do. I would love if Trump and Biden boxed. Let's take a poll. Would you rather Trump and Biden debate? Oh, we've all seen that. Yeah, I get it. Oh, I did the vaccine. No, I did it. Obamacare, Trump care. Oh, I'm going to build a wall. I'm not. Yeah, we get it. I know who you are, Joe Biden. I've heard Trump speak 100 times. It's cool. I love debates. I'm not saying not to debate, but I've seen a Trump Biden debate multiple times. I want to see a Trump Biden boxing match. Come on. Stop playing yourself, America. Let's get it going. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Loomer. I like many elements of both of them. I've met both of them. I've talked to both of them. It's time for them to do a boxing match. They're chirping at each other, getting real personal. let's settle it the old-fashioned Americano way. Let's get Marjorie Taylor Greene with some gloves on, a few months of training, Laura Loomer, obviously everything mutual combat, and let's get it cracking. You know, I saw Alex Stein is boxing someone on DAZN, the boxing network. I love that. That's my favorite thing Alex has done probably ever. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay his whole career, but I love MMA. I saw that Alex Stein's literally boxing. I'm pumped. I think it's really fun. I don't know, lighten up a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe it's a huge distraction and, you know, it's so bad, but I'm kind of enjoying it personally. Let me know what you think. That's my take. I would say, I hope it happens. That would be revolutionary. Let's get back to the days where we square up and just, you know what I'm saying, men be men again a little bit. And if I were to bet on the fight, I would bet I bet Zuckerberg winning by submission. I think he'll win pretty easily. But, you know, I like Elon Musk better than Mark Zuckerberg. So I'd root for Elon. But if I were a betting man on that fight, that doesn't even really exist yet. But if it did, I think Zuckerberg will take it. That's my take. Let's get to the third story. So Donald J. Trump was on Sebastian Gorka's show. I don't know what show he has, but I just saw the clip. And now Donald Trump is saying that Ron DeSantis of Florida sort of mandated vaccines, which I don't think is true, but I don't think the truth really matters anymore to a lot of people. So this is what it is. Let's take a watch.
There's some people like DeSantis was big in the vaccines. You remember the lines that were lined up to get the vaccine, and I guess he sort of mandated it, but he wanted people to get the vaccine.
He said, I guess he sort of mandated it. DeSantis did not mandate the vaccines. Donald Trump did not mandate the vaccines. When I speak about the vaccines, I know a lot of people are tired of it and they're tired of COVID, but I'm not tired of it because to me, that was the most corrupt event of my lifetime. And if there's zero accountability in either party, I feel like there's no point of paying attention. Like, that's where I'm at. If there's no change that happens as far as like accountability, we won't do that again, we're on the straight and narrow, I'll just tune out. I never said Trump mandated the vaccine. What I say, people misconstrue it. I say Trump funded it with Operation Warp Speed. Trump bragged about it. Trump says he rushed the FDA. Trump bought the doses, which is socialism. It's not a free market. So I call it a socialist scheme. But he didn't mandate the vaccines. I would never say that because it's not true. But Donald Trump, for whatever reason, I used to love this guy. I used to think he was so funny and cool and truthful. I love the truth. I used to love you, Donald Trump. What are you doing, bro? Stop lying so much. It's like his whole campaign is just like lying that he sort of mandated the vaccine. He didn't, dude. I'm going to play the clip again. This isn't true. Just tell the truth, Trump. Say you don't like him because he looks like a meatball, or say, you know, he's a donor guy and you're a donor guy too, but you could be more trusted or whatever. Don't just make up stuff. Like, it's never happened. And it's just weird. I don't know why he keeps doing this.
There's some people like DeSantis was big in the vaccines. You remember the lines that were lined up to get the vaccine, and I guess he sort of mandated it, but he wanted people to get the vaccine.
He didn't mandate it, and neither did you. So stop lying, bro. And then he talks about Operation Warp Speed, and in 2023, he's still bragging about ventilators. It's like, what the heck is wrong with this guy?
You know, Operation Warp Speed was an unbelievable thing. People can't even believe it with the ventilators and the regen.
Dude, Gorka looks like, you know, everybody's trying to throw a lifeline to Trump. Everyone's like, yo, please just stop this, dude. Like, you can see Gorka. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, this ventilators. Yeah, you're proud of ventilators still. As a voter, this is my take. It doesn't have to be your take. It's my take. There's a 0% chance I'm voting for Donald Trump in the primaries unless he could admit some sort of reality where even if he doesn't say he regrets it, just be like, there's a better way that we could have handled it, and in the future we will handle it better. He's recently said that he regrets nothing. He wouldn't change anything about his COVID response, which is insane because it was socialist, communist, and nuts on all angles. It was some of the Democrats, but also the Republicans did way too much. They played into it. They extended the lockdown. But in general, he's still bragging about ventilators. Like, nobody in his base is like, yeah, ventilators really did a good job. Most of the people voting for him think ventilators were part of the reason so many people died at first. You know, they think that was a terrible response to it. but he's just the same guy. That's my issue, is not that he made a mistake. Like he says, Ron DeSantis did sell the vaccine. I'm going to say this. A lot of people who work for the DeSantis campaign, or a lot of people who don't work for the DeSantis campaign and just like DeSantis a lot, I see all these influencers. I can't tell if they're paid or not. And I'm not going to accuse someone of something I don't know. But when I watch as they call them, DeSimps, people who like DeSantis and just like do everything, all I'm going to say is he did sell the vaccine. The truth is DeSantis's COVID policy was not perfect. Trump's wasn't perfect. DeSantis sold the vaccine and Trump sold the vaccine. Here's the difference, though. I'm going to be honest about it. The difference is DeSantis eventually U-turned and figured out what he was doing wrong, and then changed his narrative based on the evidence he saw when it got so overwhelming he couldn't keep doing that. So if you listen to a DeSantis interview, he admits that if I had the data I had now, I would have never done that. He did a safety council on vaccines, and he let a bunch of parents and people speak that were injured from the vaccine. Like, Trump won't do that. He won't even admit they exist because he's the father of the vaccine and he's proud of it. So this is the truth that you're not going to hear on a pro DeSantis page or a pro Trump page, because they're fighting like children. As annoying as politics is getting to me, I feel like I have to do this stuff, because if nobody's going to be the adult in the room, I will. The DeSantis and the Trumps are, and everyone's acting like kids. Like, the truth is, they both sold the vaccine. Neither one of them mandated it. But DeSantis U-turned, fired his surgeon general, hired a better one, did a council on vaccine safety, started doing the grand jury investigation in Florida, and Trump shamelessly just still sells vaccines and ventilators as if it's 2020 and repeating COVID data that no one believes. He's terrible now. And it sucks because people look at me like I'm the bad guy, like, oh, you hate Trump so much. Who hates Trump more than the people riding his coattails, just trying to suck every opportunity out of him that they can, knowing damn well that he's not telling the truth on all these things, and they just want to use him and suck his vehicle dry until they can't anymore. It's like, that doesn't make you a good person because you're a yes man. It would be like if Trump had marinara sauce all over his face, and I'm like, yo, Trump, you the man, big dog, but you got marinara sauce on your face. Like, and then they're like, no, he doesn't. Did DeSantis pay you to say that? It's like, okay, well, go get your stuff from him. But I don't think it's a good long-term strategy to let him just run around the country selling ventilators and vaccines the same as he did 2020 and acting like DeSantis is the same. They both made mistakes, but the difference is DeSantis has the humility to change. Trump doesn't. I can't vote for a guy that's telling me that he hasn't changed. Here's a video I found, different topic, but interesting as well. Trump came out and said, there's a reason I punched down. And I actually agree with his reasoning, but I'll tell you what I disagree with later. But I'm not mad at this video at all, but I don't believe it. Let's watch real quick.
Many say don't punch down when talking about people like Chris Sununu or Sloppy Chris Christie or Ada Hutchinson. I call him Ada, not Asa, because of certain reasons. Or others. But sometimes it's necessary to talk badly about those that for no reason other than politics speak badly about you. Otherwise, the people that love you don't know whether or not they're for real. Are they saying the truth? They're not. So sometimes you have to punch down and you have to say what's happening. Otherwise, they won't understand. It's not fair to them. You have to put them in proper perspective, these bad people. You have to put them in their place. People like this are very destructive. And you have to tell the voters what it's all about. Otherwise, why should they be able to understand it? Thank you very much.
See, now, as a lot of people say, oh, you don't have to punch down. You don't have to say that. You don't have to do this. Personally, I don't care. My problem with Trump punching down isn't the fact that he's punching down. I get what he's saying. Narrative control. If they're going to lie about you, you got to go at them. I'm not mad at them. The reason I don't believe anything he says, and I think it's a circus, is because in 2016, he was saying the same thing about Chris Christie. He was calling him this and that. They were going at each other. And all the stuff that Trump says about Chris Christie now, he said it in 2016. You could bring up multiple articles, video clips of Trump just punching down at Chris Christie. But here's the thing. He punches down for the cameras. He punches down for the base. And this video will reveal what type of influence Chris Christie still has over Trump after he does all that. Take a watch.
But I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie.
Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendation.
So what's the point at punching down at Chris Christie in 2016 100 times if you're going to let Chris Christie dog walk you in 2019 and pick your FBI director, or 2018, whenever it was? This is the Trump show, in my opinion. It's not the fact that he says all this stuff. I don't care. I don't care about the mean tweets. I don't care about the nicknames and stuff. Just be honest and be the best leader, and I love it. But if you're going to punch down at Chris Christie for a year, and then when it's time to hire, perhaps this might be the most important hire. It's hard to really judge, but it's got to be a top 5 important hire, the FBI director. And Trump listens to Chris Christie, takes Chris Christie's advice, basically takes Chris Christie's lawyer and the Democrats guy and puts him into power. Who cares if he makes fun of Chris Christie? It's not real. It's like a staged fake fight or something, or Trump is just easily swayed. I'm not really sure. So that's kind of my angle on it. If you punch down at bad people, there's nothing wrong with that. If you punch down at the swamp, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you punch down at the swamp for 3 years and then hire them and then cry about it, to me, I just don't believe anything this guy says. I've seen too many times where he punches down and then like hires the person. So it's just hard to figure out what's going on. And when it comes to DeSantis and Kayleigh McEnany, nobody's above scrutiny and nobody's above critique, especially when you're a public servant, basically, whatever these people do or claim to do. Like politicians are supposed to serve the public. So it's not the fact that he criticizes Ron DeSantis. I've said more stuff about Ron DeSantis before Trump ever did when they were friends, not because I hate Ron DeSantis or I'm emotional, just because I disagreed with policy in 2019. That's funny. Everybody that's like, oh, you're working for DeSantis. You didn't even think twice to ever question DeSantis until Trump told you to. It's not a real opposition. It's controlled opposition. Like, you're not thinking clearly about what you agree and disagree with DeSantis. You're just repeating what someone else told you to. So it doesn't even matter. But the point I'm getting to with Trump is like, it's not the fact that he's criticizing DeSantis. He's just not making sense. He's now saying he sort of mandated the vaccine. That's not true. Just like Trump didn't mandate the vaccine, DeSantis didn't mandate the vaccine. That's a lie. Why are you lying? Florida had the 3rd most COVID deaths in the country. He said, that's not true. First of all, that's not per capita. If you're just doing it would be like, wow, Russia had more deaths than Maine or Vermont. It's like, yeah, there's more people there. So he's not telling per capita. He's not talking about excess mortality. He's not talking about how they're counting cases and counting deaths. So Trump is very similar to the vaccine expert, Peter Hotez, in the fact that he counts COVID deaths the same way that the left does. They don't talk about the PCR test or the fact that they're judging everybody who died with COVID as dying from COVID. These are key figures to really crack this case and get out of the tyranny that we've been in for so long. And I understand in many ways we're out of it, but a lot of people still aren't. The healthcare industry is not out of it. People coming to the country still aren't out of it. I know athletes that are being threatened with deportation if they don't get the vaccine still. Mostly because of Joe Biden and he's a scumbag, but I'm just saying it's still happening. So we're not completely over it yet. And we want to not repeat the same mistakes. So long story short, I'm not upset that he calls people names. I'm not upset that he bashes Kayleigh McEnany or Ron DeSanctimonious. It just makes sense when you do it, and just don't be so petty that you're just doing like whatever. It's like, oh, he sucks, but I'll hire him. She read the wrong poll numbers. Like, Trump is the type of person that's more concerned with poll numbers on Fox News than he is about like money printing, vaccine scams. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's good at foreign policy, but he really is has the spirit of a child. It's like Kayleigh McEnany could print $1 trillion, work with Democrats, like do everything wrong, and Trump wouldn't care as long as she flattered him. But the second that she reads a poll number that no one cares about, now she's my enemy. It's like his priorities are just super screwed up, in my view, which is why he keeps getting tricked, because he's like, he falls for fake flattery. Like he'd rather be friends with Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom says something nice than Kayleigh McEnany for her, interviewing DeSantis or reading poll numbers. So it just, to me, just seems like terrible, terrible leadership. Like, it's just not a movement or a person I want to follow. I'd vote for him over Biden, but I think the more as this next year rolls out, a lot more people are going to come back to my channel. A lot more people are going to say, hey, I didn't want to hear it a year ago, but you said it. I'm not a hateful person. I'm not emotional. I root for the guy to come back to full form, but he's just like a pathological liar now. The dude thinks the only way to win the election is to just keep lying about stuff. And instead of stepping into the truth that he knows, like, he feels like he doesn't have to tell the truth about anything COVID related. It's just like a hit job. Like, What can we do? What can we say to make DeSantis look bad? It's like, say the truth. Just everybody likes the truth on your side, maybe not on the left. You don't have to do all this, bro. You don't have to make up this stuff. You don't have to, you could take the L on one topic and lean into foreign policy. Some people might like it. Me, there's a 0% chance I'm voting for him in the primary unless he can't look at the camera and say, nothing was wrong with my COVID response. Nothing was wrong. You printed more money than Obama. The whole economy was imploded. You extended the 15 days to slow the spread after you looked at that model behind you on stage with Fauci. And then you told Sweden to lock down. You told Georgia that you recommended that they lock down. The money printed alone combined with the CARES Act was like a ticking time bomb in the sense of it gave the incentive to the hospitals. It gave the PCR tests, the ventilators, like all of that to an extent, even if you're not mad at all of it, a real honest person would be like, okay, well, I don't regret what I did in the sense of I did the best that I could. But in hindsight, with all the information I have now, I would have went at it a different angle. The thing is, Trump is a type of person, in my view, that's going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again because he has no humility or shame. He doesn't look like maybe I shouldn't have sent so many ventilators. He's like, I'm the king of the ventilators. He doesn't look like, oh, every other Republican's talking about vaccine injuries and liability, and RFK is starting to talk about that stuff and reach the masses. Maybe I should, rearrange my rhetoric and get a little more honest on this topic since I'm getting outmaneuvered. Trump's like, no. I'm just gonna go further left. I'm just gonna dive into statistics I don't believe, Florida facts I don't believe, DeSantis mandated. Like, that's the game he's playing. It's a very diabolical, very political game. Maybe it'll work for him, but to me, what I liked about Donald Trump was the truth. He's funny too. I like his humor, but I like the fact that I thought he was the truth. If he's proving he's not the truth and the truth is like an afterthought to him because he'd rather, do dirty political tricks to make other people look bad, it just doesn't appeal to me. And I do think that RFK is doing a really good job with social media and podcasts. Trump is Trump. He has a built-in audience. DeSantis, I think has a little to be desired as far as like how interesting he is. And he's not making as big of a splash. He's just not, if you like DeSantis and someone said, I see you're vaxxed by, that doesn't even make any sense. But in general, I think, when DeSantis does an interview, people care a lot less than when Trump or what's his name, RFK do an interview. So I don't know why that is or what he could change, but I don't think he's making the splash that maybe they should make. Someone said the ventilators. Yeah, there's a lot of theories about the ventilators, but you guys get it. All right, I'm going to read a few comments, and then I'm going to try to keep this under 45 minutes. I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to cut it off. God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. And I just want to give a special shout out to Facebook supporters or subscribers. If you haven't and you're on Facebook, thank you if you did that. I work really hard for all my flaws, etc. Hard work is not one of them. and I'm going to get kind of personal with you guys too. I've worked really hard in my 20s and 30s to the point where I'm never going to stop working hard. But the type of just staring at my computer for 15 hours doing this, it's a method that's unsustainable forever. Like, I had to work super, super hard, do a lot of stuff, edit all this stuff. I'm still doing it. I'm still working hard, but I do have to figure out a different, I don't want to do this until I'm like 70 years old. Like, I want to get a production team. Eventually I want to build a business or join a unit where other people step into their pros and cons and I can just do what I'm best at. So I'm so grateful for everybody. And, Facebook subscribers, Patreon supporters, Twitter subscribers, anywhere, people going to the shop, all that stuff. It's been such a blessing. Nothing's guaranteed. There's so much competition out there. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Rumble. There's a lot of great creators. There's a lot of not great creators. And, there's everything out there. You have the internet, you could do anything. So the fact that anyone supports me is such a blessing. And, I know there's a lot of competition. So I strive to do the best I can. And without people on Patreon, without people on Facebook, everywhere, supporting, watching, sharing, none of this is possible. It's been an amazing 5-6 years, and I'm never going to give up or anything. It's just certain times, like, I would love to switch up my business model at some point a little bit so I don't have to do like 15, 16-hour days editing and stuff. It's not like a 20-year sustainable plan, but I'll read a few comments. Dan said, Anomaly, you forgot that if it wasn't for Trump, you'd still be a nobody. I've been watching you when you barely had 350 people watching you. For a man who knows nothing about the medical industry, but he jumped on the problem. I appreciate Trump for what he brought to media conversation. For sure, a lot of people, saw my videos when I defended Donald Trump. So just like, he helped me in a way, I also helped him. I got millions of people to realize he wasn't as bad as the media was saying. But you're just kind of diverting the question. Like, if I like somebody and he tells me to cross a highway, you don't cross the highway just because you like that person. Like if they're 85 years old and they can't see, it's like, maybe I shouldn't cross the highway. So with Trump, like, you think he's your God or something. I've done a lot to help Trump. He's done a lot to help me. He's done more to help mainstream media also. I mean, they love his attention. They get a lot of ratings off it on all sides. But in general, like, your idea that he just doesn't know anything, you think that because you like him. But, like, my reporting bothers you because it brings forth new evidence that he's not an idiot like you think. Like, you think he's just this idiot that knows nothing about the medical industry. You keep saying that. It's not true. It's actually provably not true. That's your theory. Your theory is wrong. You could be mad at me, but your theory is wrong. Trump used to talk about injuries of vaccines in 2015. He met with RFK and almost hired RFK in 2016. Everything I know about with this stuff, Trump also knows about. He sold out. I didn't sell out. That's the difference. So if you want me to sell out so I can match his agenda, that's fine. But you just assume Trump is too stupid to stop making mistakes with the medical industry. It's an interesting theory that the guy that you love so much is just wrong and you should make excuses for it. But I have not come to that same conclusion. I do not think Trump is stupid. I do not think he's ignorant to the medical industry. All the evidence proves that Trump knows more than you think. It's just, that's the base now. This is why a lot of people are just not caring that. Like, you're gonna, and this is something I want to be real clear with too, because sometimes I feel like I'm being a little rude and I listen back and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, so I apologize. But it's like, I see it as, and don't take this the wrong way, you try to help people, right? You try to spread information, help people, but everybody doesn't want help. And at a certain point, you just want people to get away from you. Like an example, I know that people in San Francisco that are super liberal, they don't agree with me. They want to live in a city that has crap everywhere, and they don't care if all their neighbors are getting robbed all the time. I don't want to live that lifestyle, but I've gotten to the point I'm at peace with it, because it's like, yeah, they're ruining the country in many ways, and I don't agree. But I'm not going to bash my head against the wall to try to dive into the mind of like somebody in San Francisco that like loves Joe Biden. So I just distance myself from them, right? They're not me. I'm not them. See if it works. I don't think so. It's starting to get that way with Trump worshipers. And I understand that so many people that support Trump have done a lot for me. I understand that Trump's existence created this media vortex that a lot of people, including myself, were able to capitalize off. And I'm grateful for all that stuff. But I'm starting to view Trump worshipers the same as I view liberals, where it's like they're just a lost cause. And I'm not saying just because you vote for them, you're a lost cause. But if you repeat the same 6 phrases over and over and over again, if you say things that are provably not true to make excuses for them, and it becomes this like goofy loop that never ends, I'm not being rude, but as much as I'm so grateful for everyone that's helped me and made money, like, I'd rather be broke than to have to live this life with people saying the same 4 things that don't make sense on loop for 20 years. Like, I'm willing to risk it all to just get those people away from me, because I view it like a crackhead that you're trying to help get off crack and they just won't get off crack. So then after 5 years, you can't let a crackhead live with you, or they're going to ruin your life too. No offense, but that's how I feel about Trump worshipers. Like, they're losing their minds, and in pursuit of losing their minds, they're trying to like screw everyone else up around them. And it's like, I don't need the attention. I would love the money and attention, but I'd rather you literally not watch if you're going to say the same 15 things on loop. You can disagree with me, you can challenge me, but we've had this debate 50 times and it's just not true. Like, he does know stuff. He just doesn't care, but you care. So it's fine. I get the loop. You're going to be stuck on it for the next 15 years. Like, I do news analysis and I appreciate everyone who watches, but I'm never going to be a bootlicker. When I defended Trump, I didn't do it for the accolades, and I didn't do it for the attention, and I didn't do it for Trump. I did it because it was the truth. When I countered Russia collusion from day one, it wasn't because I wanted something out of Trump. It was because it was the truth. I was analyzing the news, and I want to give you the realest thing I could say. If Trump says that DeSantis mandated the vaccine, that's a lie. If Trump spews CNN propaganda about Florida COVID deaths without explaining how PCR tests work, etc., that's a lie. Like, Trump is a liar now. It's not my fault. It's not your fault, but I'm not going to lie just because I owe my whole life to a guy who took $1 million from Pfizer and hired a bunch of pharmacy lobbyists and listened to Chris Christie when he hired his FBI director. Like, I'm tired of Trump's clown show. I'm tired of it. I don't care. He's a clown. He's lying. It's insane. It doesn't make sense. He's mentally and psychologically abusing everybody that runs circles around him. He's making people lose their minds. And because these people are so unhinged now, everybody that they constantly communicate with, it's like they're trying to ruin your life too and scramble your brain. I'm over it, Don. Dude, I've done the research. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful. But it's like, it's a goofy loop that he's got people programmed to, and it's very, very odd. I do not do political worship. I do not do Republican Party, Team Red. There's 100 accounts out there that just go Team Red, Trump, 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 like, and that's all they do. And if you like that, there's a lot of people who like that. I don't. Personally, I don't. But if you do, there's so many places to go for that. There's straight up people that will tell you that Trump broke a time machine and saved the world with his vaccine plan because it's not really a vaccine. Like, there's people out there for you. I'm not that. I do news analysis. If you want to come hear the truth, if you want to come hear me, if DeSantis lies, call out his lie, or if they do an AI deepfake, say that that's wrong. That's what I do, news analysis. I want to be honest. I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to get a job in the Trump administration. I'm not trying to get a job in the DeSantis administration. I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to move to Washington, D.C. I want to tell people the truth and unravel the constant propaganda and psyops that are going on out there from all sides. And the second that you think that your side's so great and the other side's so bad, so you can't be tricked, is the day that you get tricked. And there's a lot of tricks on the right too. So, I'm not trying to be rude about it. I just want to let people know that's what I do. I'm down to debate. I'm down for you to disagree, but I can't do this like same 5 things on loop. I can't do it. It's been 3 years of the same 4 talking points on loop, and they're not right. So I have debates publicly. I debated with, Red Eagle Patriot who loves Trump. I debated with, what was his name? Quite frankly, who likes Trump. And you could watch those debates and watch what I say versus what they say. And there's counters. You could say what you want. It's just that's where I'm at mentally. Someone said, Anomaly, why do you hate Russell Brand? Russell Brand, I think he's okay. When did I say I hate Russell Brand? I don't think I've ever said that. I definitely don't hate Russell Brand. I listened to him recently. My friend sent me his video today, and it was very reasonable. So, yeah, I've never said I hated Russell Brand. I think he's cool. Maybe I said I don't listen to him that often. But I heard what he was saying today about the papers in Iran. He's an interesting guy, and I think that he's, Russell Brand is a net positive for sure. I've never hated on him. Someone said, I don't know what you're saying, Don. Yeah, no, I don't hate the guy. He's got some value for sure. Let's see, read a few more. Why do people worship these crooked politicians? I mean, people got programmed very hard, and I'm trying to be as nice as I can, and I'm not just saying that. I hate when I listen back and I'm like, oh, I was being a dick. I should have been way nicer. But with Trump, it's like you got 3 years of what you wanted, and then in the 4th year, he morphed into like a communist socialist Bill Gates character who's running around printing money, selling vaccines. So it's like you got 3 years of exactly what you wanted. So people were like, and then you got 3 years of defending him and 3 years of the media being wrong and he's right. So you're defending him for 3 years, and as soon as they turn it on you, a lot of people were not able to adapt and call it like they saw it, and they bought into a lot of Q stuff, or like not even Q stuff, just this like Marvel version of it where it's like, if Ron DeSantis takes $1 million from Pfizer, he's corrupt. But if Trump does it, it's a secret plan. Like, it's literally turned into a mental illness. if you like Trump, there's nothing wrong with that. If you vote for Trump, there's nothing wrong with that. Liking or voting for Trump is not a mental illness. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you think, like, if you have double standards for every other politician except for him, like if he takes $100 million from a donor, it's a secret strategy. But if DeSantis does it, then it's bad. Like, that's insane. It's insane. If you wouldn't agree with Operation Warp Speed on paper, if Hillary or DeSantis did it, but you agree when Trump does it, or make up a theory that he saved the world from a 5-year lockdown, like, this is how insane people are getting. It's not just Q people. Everyone keeps saying, oh, he saved the world from a 4-year lockdown. That's an inversion of reality. Trump didn't rush vaccines for big pharma and hire lobbyists to save the world. He did it because under the PrEP Act, they have no liability. They made a cash cow. The only way to save the world is to employ the swamp. Like, dude, people have lost their minds over this guy. And all I'm trying to say is, I'm not even trying to be rude. if that sounds like you and you're bothered by what I'm saying, go to a page that you like. And it's not strategic for my business to say stuff like this, but it's like, I'd rather lose money than be dragged down by people that have lost their minds over this. Someone said, when will super chat, how dare you, said, when will Delta airliner crash from diversity hire pilot? Hopefully never. But I mean, I see the same stuff where it's like, dude, I don't care what race they are as long as they're the best pilot. But when you go out of your way to not get the best people, it doesn't work. Thank you, DebSack, for the super chat. I want to say this this is one thing that sports are good for. I know that they could be a distraction, but one thing that sports are really good for, it shows, for the most part, it shows hierarchy and it shows merit. So, for example, Jokic didn't win because he's white, and he probably didn't win the MVP because he's white, because they tried to take it away from him. But also, Embiid had a good year. Outside of that little, to people who know what I'm talking about, you get it. If not, you're confused. But, it is what it is. He won the championship. It's not because Michael Jordan was black. Like, the best players get there, and if you're good enough, you can compete. Why don't they do diversity in the NBA? Why MMA? Why is it natural diversity? It's natural because the best people get there. Why would you do the best people get to fight in MMA, the best people get to play in the NBA, but we're going to go out of our way to not hire the best pilots and the best engineers and the best submarine safety people? This is insane. Left-wing mindset is insane. They're going to ruin a lot of stuff. So, I mean, hopefully nothing happens, but you would just assume that more bad stuff will happen, because how could it not? How could it not happen if you're going out of your way racially to not hire the greatest people for stuff, and you're going out of your way to pick them based on other things besides merit? It's a horrible, horrible precedent that they're setting. And it's bizarre that it's gone this long, and I see it just like everyone else. Larry said, you are smart. Both parties are on the same team. Yeah, I agree. I'll just read the whole comment. He said, you are smart. Both parties are on the same team. It's all the New World Order agenda. Trump's policies are the best, but he's also the father of the vaccine. But Biden wants to disarm us and destroy America. Both sides suck. Divide and conquer. I hear you. I'm starting to see this divide and conquer more and more too, because obviously we all know, we've heard it. Sorry, I have a little itch. It's not professional, but I'm not gonna just sit up here with the itch and not itch it. That's just how I roll. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Fox News. But anyway, yeah, I mean, divide and conquer works so well because, in my view, a lot of people have ego and pride, and everybody has flaws, obviously, but the ego and pride of the left and the ego and pride of the right is similar, even though the policy's better on the right and they're more right about stuff. Like, the left's wrong about almost everything now, and it's very odd. But there's some things that actually the right will be wrong about, and they won't even know because they have too much pride. You get what I'm saying? Like, I always pointed out with Ilhan Omar, it's the perfect example. And I'm gonna repeat it real quick because it just shows how the right gets tricked a lot. I don't like Ilhan Omar. I don't agree with like 99% of her policy. I think she's not very bright or anything. But the right uses Ilhan Omar because she's such a unlikable character. They use her to do things that Republicans actually don't agree with, but they don't realize that they're doing it because they use Ilhan Omar like, we got to stop her anti-Semitism. It's like, we got to stop Trump's racism, so we need to pass the George Floyd Act. It's the same thing the right's doing to the left. It's why George Bush started a war, and then it was the Muslims, and then it was like the Patriot Act, and then it was Obama, and then it was Trump, and then he's selling vaccines. You can believe whatever Marvel plot you want, but it seems a lot more likely that they know exactly how to give people what they want so they won't freak out, just enough to get people into it, but not enough to actually fix anything. And that seems to be the plot. So, I'm starting to see that more and more, where although the left's wrong about almost everything, the right has so much pride and ego that they don't realize when they're getting duped, and they think that they can't get duped just because the left gets duped. And then it gets to this game where it's like, well, they do that, well, I do that. And it's once you get out of that, it's actually a beautiful thing. Like, I'm not that stressed out over this stuff. And, people think it's like so pessimistic. It's not. It's exhausting to be on this hamster wheel. It's exhausting to believe that, like, even with like the Hunter Biden stuff, it's, yes, I know what Hunter did with, it's all public stuff as far as everything. The difference is like, okay, do I think that Republicans are really trying to get him? I don't. I mean, maybe that'll change, but I don't. Do I think that the Democrats just bamboozled us in 2020 and the Republicans didn't know. No, I think they sold out when it mattered, and they don't even care. They don't take accountability because they could just blame the left. Do I think that, there's another one I saw recently, like this new psyop is like all these Republican influencers are like freaking people out all the time, and they're like, censor Adam Schiff, like impeach. Like, do I think impeaching Joe Biden's going to do anything? No. We all know what needs to happen, regardless of whether he gets impeached or not. There's an election in 2024. We want Republicans to win the election, I think, right? That's what people want. That's the goal. The impeachment doesn't really matter, but they're going to freak people out over this thing, and it's not going to pass. They don't have the numbers to make it pass, but you know what they could do? Freak you out, capitalize off you, sell t-shirts, exploit you. And I know I sell t-shirts. I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying, like, do these people even care about anything anymore? Do they have a real message, or is it just like constant outrage? So it's like censoring Adam Schiff does nothing. It does nothing. Impeaching Joe Biden, like, you got to win the election in 2024 if you want power again. That's how you're going to get power. All this other stuff is fake virtue signaling from the right, so they could just waste your time on the carousel of nothingness. And in general, this idea that we have to be unconstitutional and freak out at Thomas Massie in order to play by the left's rules, we actually don't. That's another psyop. Do you know how Republicans can beat the left? By being who they pretend to be in their election. We're not victims right now. You get what I'm saying? If Trump did what he said he was going to do, if Trump didn't cave so many times under the COVID stuff and role play Bill Gates for a year, we'd be in a different situation. So we don't need to infringe on the Constitution to censor Adam Schiff because we're freaking out. That's called phoniness. That's like it's like the Republicans just have to do what they say they're going to do when they get power next, because they don't do what they said they were going to do for 4 years. They allow it to happen, and then when they're out of power, they freak you out as if that's going to fix the problem. That's not going to fix the problem. Whether Adam Schiff gets censured or not, whether Joe Biden gets impeached or not, you got to win the next election in 2024 to regain the White House. That's the game. You got less than a year before it all starts. It's already starting. That's the game. Anything else is just outrage culture. And like, I see some of the people posting now, they're like hyping everything up. It's just like, we did it. Anna Paulina did it. She's a hero. I like Anna Paulina. I've met her. She's, it is what it is, but it's like, that's not a root level fixing of the problem. What we need to happen is the next time someone gets in, like a Trump or a DeSantis or whoever, they can't hire the FBI director based on who Chris Christie told them to. They can't hire the big pharma swamp. They can't pass executive orders for the pharmacy industry. Like, they have to wield their power and do things that you want them to do. That's the answer. This is why Republicans annoy me so much. It's like they slap you in the face 100 times, then they tell you that the Democrats were the only ones who did it, and the only way to stop the Democrats is by digging yourself in a deeper hole, like freaking out when Biden has power. And it's not a solution. It's a trap, in my view. I don't buy into it, and I like to at least say my point of view, because a lot of people are looking at a lot of stuff, and I don't want to be the only person people listen to or anything, but I want people to at least hear my perspective. So next time someone, if you're running in circles for 2 years and you're freaking out and nothing's getting done, maybe time to consider, like, maybe that's not what I thought it was. Maybe I am being exploited a little bit, because, I'm going to stay over an hour because I have a little energy and we have almost 800 people. So I'm appreciative of people here. It'll get more views later too. But, this game of basically, if you can hype people up the most, you're going to get to the top of the totem pole of Republicans, in my view, is half the reason why it's getting so easy to trick our side. For example, if I tell you exactly how the election was manipulated and I'm 100% factual, people will appreciate it, but I'm never going to be as popular as Carrie Lake, who will go on Twitter and retweet something and be like, well, it looks like they stole California in all 50 states. You get what I'm saying? She now goes above me, because it's like, well, Anomaly told us this, but Carrie Lake's taking it even further. She's saying that they could have stole California in all 50 states too. And I don't think that's true. I mean, I understand that there's some foul play, but not every state is Republican. And you know what? I've been around the country. Like, the country is very conservative. You drive north in California, it's very conservative, but where all the people are is where all the Democrats are, and they win based on population. So I've also been to a swing state and seen like Biden signs. I've really seen it. It's insane, but like you would think it's not real, but in some of these suburbs, dude, people are brainwashed by CNN. It really exists. The long story short, I'm not saying there wasn't foul play, but what I'm saying is the reason Republicans never fix it and get scammed is because they'll always go to who says the most. Like it's that easy to trick a Republican. Like if I tell you 5 different ways the election was manipulated and I'm pinpoint accurate about it because I want to fix it, and Mike Lindell comes around and just acting wild, like, I got a cyber symbol. And like people don't want to listen to me. And I'm not jealous or anything. It's just like, then they go over to him and then they go to Kerry Lake. And it's, it's this never ending game of nothing gets done because they're not being strategically accurate with it. And, I know Kerry Lake has some lawsuits and stuff and she's doing some stuff, no doubt, but that's just kind of how I see it. And I'm starting to see that the leadership on the Trump side, that's the energy I get from it. It's not like that. It's kind of just like all over the place. And if you're playing chess, it's not the way you want to do it. So I'm kind of like tapped out of it. But some people like that. They like a show. They like a good, thing. But I think we got to be real pinpoint when we do stuff or else it becomes just like a big circus that never gets solved. I saw Mike Cernovich tweet on Twitter. I thought it was interesting. He said, who do you think will deal with the legal stuff the best in 2024? That's what the election's really about. And I know a lot of people won't agree with that or they don't like that take, and you don't have to. I mean, nothing like of that sort is necessarily 100% accurate, but I think it's really true because this is why I'm just going to be honest. This is why I'm leaning towards DeSantis, even though I see all his cons and all Trump's cons, is because I really see it that way. Like strategically, it's who you hire. It's not what you say. It's what you do via executive order. It's not what you don't do. And DeSantis has done some shady stuff, but the same shady stuff DeSantis has done, Trump has also done. So Trump doesn't have leverage there in my view. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? It's like whoever gets into power, it's like a legal game. It's like who's going to outmaneuver this one. And as fake as Democrats are, they understand the justice system. They understand what they can and can't do. They understand how to wield power. And I just believe, based on listening and watching, that although Trump is a charismatic character, I do not think he's very strategic. Like, I think he's very aimless when he hires people. I think he's very aimless when he like launches a counter to them. And I don't see that working, but who knows? Even the, I mentioned it yesterday, but I was going to include it in this. I decided not to because I got a little, I had enough stuff, but they asked him about the documents where I'm on Trump's side, but he was like, I was busy. Like, it's not as easy as you think because I had a lot of my own stuff in there. And here's my question. Why, as somebody who actually backs Trump in this, whatever they're trying to do, like I'm behind, I stand with Trump against the double standards. Why would there be other stuff with classified documents so much to the point that you don't even want to go through it and saying you're busy? I truly believe that this is just a show. And I truly believe that Trump is either trying to get set up or he just doesn't care. Like it's hard for me to take this stuff seriously, even when I back him completely. And I'm like, I got your back, bro. That answer was stunning to me. I didn't expect to hear that. Like, there's so much other stuff with that stuff that it's just like not that easy to go through. And, me, I'm busy. Like, you're too busy to hand back the documents they want. Well, that's not going to go well. Why don't you hire 10 lawyers to go through no, hire people you trust. 10. You just want to blow it off and then it comes back and then you're going to like act shocked. It's something about it just doesn't feel right to me. And it's, I'm just so out of the political circus of it all. Like I've seen really since 2019 and 2020, especially 2020, it's just not the same to me anymore. I don't buy everything I hear hook, line, and sinker. I'm not getting outraged every time a right-wing influencer posts something. And I'm starting to notice more comments too. I'm starting to notice big accounts, people be like, bro, that don't even make sense. Like, where's your source? I'm starting to see that, which is good. Because in this competition of all these people, all these ideas, people can cross-reference. Not everyone's trying to be tricked. So I'm starting to notice more pushback of like, I'm not buying that. That seems a little like, because certain people I follow, like every day, they're like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh my gosh, we got to go get him and go get Joe Biden. And why are they not voting for the impeachment and impeach Joe Biden and Jim Jordan? And I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't care about any of this. Not because I don't care about the outcomes, but I just don't see it as real. It just doesn't seem real to me anymore. It seems like when I used to watch CNN and Fox News, and I used to say to myself, I don't like either of these. Growing up, I didn't like Fox News. But just because I didn't like Fox News didn't mean I like CNN. My whole life I said, Fox is fake, CNN's fake. They're all controlled by 5 or 6 mega corporations. Like I figured this out when I was 17 or 18 for whatever reason. I don't know. I had the internet. I was into like theories and etc. And I remember when I was 18, 19, I saw this article that said, here's the 6 parent companies that own this newspaper, this newspaper, this newspaper. And that's when I figured out at a young age, all of the media is controlled by 5 or 6 people. So it's like, it's all controlled opposition. Long story short, that's just how I see politics now. The same way I realized that 5 or 6 people control all the news companies or 5 or 6 corporations, I feel like the same thing with politics. I feel like the things that Trump and DeSantis are fighting over are irrelevant. And for the most part, the real control and the real deep state and the real swamp that, everybody thinks controls DeSantis, they also control Trump. I know people don't want to hear that. It's like, well, Fox News is different than, Sky News. It's like, well, who owns them? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they're all completely owned or anything. It's just, I view politics the same way I view media. Fox News might say a few true things. CNN might say the truth one time, but I don't trust either of them because it's like a game. They're playing a game with the media, and it's negative and it's toxic. And I feel that way about a lot of right-wing influencers now. They're the new Fox News. They're the new outrage. They're the new Rupert Murdochs, where they're just freaking people out every day, all the time. Get mad at Thomas Massie. We got to impeach. You got to win the election in 2024. You can do that, but impeaching Joe Biden isn't going to get you the election. Just win the election. Win the election, and next time you get power, don't print $6 trillion. Don't give $18 billion to Big Pharma. Don't listen to Chris Christie when you hire everybody. Don't, let a guy run your whole operation. Like, do what you should do when you get power. That's the solution. But the same right-wingers that are telling you to be outraged every day are the same ones sucking up to that guy who won't tell you the truth about that. So the whole thing's controlled opposition now. It's like everyone's mad, everyone's angry. They think they're getting Adam Schiff or Hunter Biden or all this stuff, and nothing's ever happening because it's not real. The plot's not real. The characters involved are not heroes or villains. I mean, you could say they're villains. Some people, it's just not real, and I, at this point, someone said, I just want an apology. Is that so hard? What did I do to you? I don't know. I would if I knew who you were, but I don't. I'm sorry for whatever anyone ever did to you. I don't know. I just saw your name and I don't recognize it. Did I get mad at you one time on a live stream? I have no idea. Let me see. You do enough of you standing by doesn't stop them. Not sure what you mean. Someone said, disagree. The checks and balances of the 18th century founders have been destroyed by 21st century oligarchy, crime cartels, and its agents. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I guess it's just how many times am I going to get mad at something that doesn't change? I don't see it's driving people nuts. If you notice, like, I'm not that, I know I get a little like annoying sometimes or whatever. I get like mad or something, but I'm not really stressing out that much right now. Why? Because it's peaceful once you see the truth. Like, the truth will set you free. It's not always the best thing for your mental health, but like, some people will be like, oh, I'm mad at DeSantis. He's a meatball and he's the deep state. Like, your entire perception of who you think Trump is versus DeSantis is wrong. You have the wrong script. So you're mad and emotional and angry, but you're not even right. I'm not saying DeSantis is your hero. He's not, but Trump is not that much different. And if you want to pretend like he is, you can, but you're wasting energy. There's a reason that so many people who think that are upset all the time. I'm not saying everybody is upset, but a lot of the people that act that way, that are so upset all the time, they're like, well, you're wrong. You're with them. And it's like, the reason you're getting fooled is because, you could go as far as Satan, but really it's like, let's just stick to the politicians, being angry, emotional, prideful, ego. That's how they get you. So just because you're emotional over this topic doesn't mean you're right. Just because they get angry, like, that's not how it works. So it's I'm reading some weird comments. See, this is why I do subscribers only on YouTube sometimes. I'm not even saying they're bad. It was just weird. But that's my take. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I said I was going to go shorter, but I didn't. I'm going to have a few chats next week. I'm going to have some guests on. I like talking, obviously, but it's nice to switch it up sometime. Anybody that you know that's willing to have a friendly, respectful debate, I'm just letting you guys know, like if you follow any influencers, you've seen how I operate. Anybody who disagrees with my takes on this stuff, anything really, I love to challenge my ideas. I love to have conversations, debates. I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as intellectually stimulating because at the end of the day, my goal is the same as most other people, I think. I mean, I don't know what people's goals are anymore, but I don't want Joe Biden to be president in 2024. And I want somebody in there who's going to hire better judges. I want somebody in there that's going to hire a better cabinet. I want somebody in there that's going to end the war. I want somebody in there that's going to stand up to big pharma. And I want somebody in there that is going to make America better, just like everyone else. The difference between me and some other influencers is I don't think just coattail riding Trump and just like doing everything he does is going to get to that point. I think we, the people, need to stand firm to what we believe in, whether Trump or DeSantis or RFK does it. Because the truth is, as interesting as RFK is, and he's good on some topics, I definitely don't trust RFK. And if it were RFK versus Trump, part of me would want to vote for RFK. But, you know, the logical part of me would probably want to vote for Trump because RFK is probably going to hire a bunch of crappy liberal judges. And, you know, it's like, will he drain the pharma swamp? Maybe, you know, but now as a voter, I have to weigh out, what do I want more? Do I want the pharma swamp drained, or do I want, you know, a bunch of crappy, good judges from Trump, or better judges than, like, I think Trump would hire better judges than RFK because he'll probably defer to some random Republican group who makes the decisions for him, and they'll make better decisions than whoever RFK picks. So long story short, I don't think any of these people are going to save us. And I don't think fighting over Trump and DeSantis is going to save us. And I don't think acting hysterical is going to save us. And I don't think acting like some of these influencers that just never disagree with Trump ever and then accuse other people of what he's also doing, like that's not going to help the party. I have the same goals as everyone else. So I'm willing to converse and debate with any, you know, figures that have accumulated an audience so we can, you know, show our audiences something different. I'm not afraid to do that because I'm not, you know, if I am corrected, that's a good thing. You get what I'm saying? If someone does so much truth that it makes me look bad, that's good. That means I learned and my audience learned. I'm not ashamed of that. It just doesn't happen that much because usually when people debate, you know, it doesn't end up that way, but everyone's got something to share. That's why I like, real quick, RFK is a plethora of knowledge. Like outside of a candidate, he's educational. You listen to RFK, you can learn 15 things about big pharma you never knew. You're never going to learn that listening to Donald Trump. You're never going to learn that listening to other people, but you will with him. So there's value there. I'm always trying to get value to you. I'm like, yo, we'll talk about this. Yeah, we might agree. You might get mad at me, whatever, but let's get some value here. There's no value in just like fighting all the time, or you know, with DeSantis, says some interesting stuff, but for whatever reason, he's not as interesting, or Trump or RFK. He's just not. But do you need to be interesting to win presidency? Clearly not. Joe Biden's in there, and he's the least interesting person I've ever listened to in my life. I mean, it's shocking how terrible he is. So I'm not saying that's a prerequisite from being the president, but I'm just analyzing stuff I see. I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. And I'm always willing to debate or have a conversation with other people because I do believe a lot of echo chambers are getting stale. And I've shown you 2 times in the last month where everything I've been saying for years, I've put that to the test with someone who slightly disagrees. And usually in the last 2 debates, it seems like they conceded my points. They didn't really argue them because they're true. So, you know, I'm always willing to challenge myself, and I'll be working hard over the next year or so for you guys and for myself. I mean, obviously for the country, but I don't know. I'm not young enough to retire anyway, so I got to do something. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. This has been the Dream Rare podcast. Real quick before I leave, I got some links below if you want to find all my links, my music, anything that you're interested in, check it out. I appreciate everybody that goes anywhere. Go on tour. Possibly there's chances of that at some point, and I'll let you know if that happens. Thanks for the support. Have a good weekend. I might chat with Chad Jackson tomorrow. It might be long form and you don't have to listen to everything, but Chad wants to chat, and I love Chad. He's great to talk to. And what better way to spend my Saturday than having a public chat with him? Because it sounds like a good time. So that might come tomorrow. Check it out. See you guys later. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like